People experience discomforts for those that want to grow. I want to know why this subject is important to you.
So doing uncomfortable things to make you a better person is the nickname that my students at Yale came up with for my class, which is technically called Mastering Influence and Persuasion, but theirs is much more accurate. And what you keyed in on, that if you want to grow, right, that if we keep doing the same things that we've been doing, it's very comfortable. Clearly, we're not going to grow, and growth almost always requires stepping out of our comfort zone. And so my whole class on influence at Yale is this boot camp on taking baby steps outside our comfort zone to expand our comfort zone, so that we have a bigger range of choices available to us.
Now,
that's the idea.
If I could go a little bit deeper into that specific subject, because there are folks, whether they are entrepreneurs, they have friendships that they've had for 20 years, but somehow they may want more in life. Their friends are still at this one place, but their mindset is somewhere else. What eventually happens is a separation. And they feel this discomfort and wanting to run back, but they know they have to go forward.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is that a part of what you share in that Mastering Influence class, or does that come up at all? What is your advice for that?
It's definitely a situation that I can relate to a little bit, and I've had students and friends in that situation multiple times, where, first of all, of course, not all discomfort is a good sign, right? There's this great book, I don't know if you've read it, by Tara Moore, that's called Playing Big. Mm-hmm. And she talks about two kinds of fear, and she learned these terms from her rabbi. And there's a fear that's just the anxious kind of fear, that's called pachad. Mm-hmm. And there's a fear that's the fear of stepping into something bigger, and that this fear is called yirah in Hebrew. And so it's that feeling of like you're standing at the edge of a precipice and you don't know what comes next, that it's an elevated and expansive kind of discomfort or fear, that's the sign that stepping into that, even if it feels like you're stepping off, this is how you can grow and expand your influence and your possibilities. But the other kind of anxiety isn't something to just go into and say, oh yes, I feel terrible, that's a good thing. Like, oh, there's this business investment that some friend has invited me to do, and I'm really uncomfortable about it, or it's a stranger and I don't totally trust them, but I feel uncomfortable, so
right.
No, right?
Right.
But the situation you were talking about is a deep and intimate and important situation where what I've observed, and I'm curious if this resonates for you at all, but what I've observed is that for some people, as they become more successful, some of their people that they've grown up with become jealous, and those people start to either distance themselves or not reach out as much, or there's some cattiness that goes on. And it's the social comparisons with our peer group that when one person starts to rise above the others, that can be super uncomfortable.
And for that person that is rising, elevating, if you could give one piece of advice, what would it be for those individuals?
Wow, yeah, because these are a lot of the people
right.
Who watch your show and who you work with. Please, whatever you do, don't not let yourself rise. And please, I hope that many of us could do our best to try to share the skills, the tools, the knowledge that we're learning to help all of each other be rising along with us. And I know that's not going to work for everybody.
Exactly.
It's just going to be a small number of people who are open to that. But this would be the goal, that for many of us who have big hearts, we're never going to be comfortable rising above the rest of our peer group. And so the only solution is either find a new peer group or help our friends and our family. And those of us who have these really close relationships, what we want to do is we want to help. So that's where our heart goes. That's where where we're inclined. And it's not going to be easy or universally successful, but I sent all of my mojo to all of you who are trying to help your group rise along with you.
I just want to interject here because I'm going to ask Zoe another question. I could go on because she has such her energy, and even through the internet is so positive and authentic. But what she said, listen to it through some of her talks. Google Zoë Chance and just tune in. Okay, so
That's so
I'm
kind of you.
Oh, indeed. So here, one of the things that you want to help, and this is again my Googling and researching, and I want to read so much more in this book that's coming out.
Someday.
So,
I just got an extension. Someday.
oh, okay, did you? Okay. So you want to help good people and businesses do good in the world.
Yes.
Where does that come from, for one?
I guess from my mom.
Oh, wow.
She's the most loving person I know. And growing up with her, my parents got divorced. She was raising a single mom. She had 2 jobs. My sister and my mom and I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. My mom slept in the living room. And she was never chasing money, but she was always committed to doing the right thing and helping other people. So even when we had no money, like, she would be helping someone else pay rent.
That is incredible. So the helping good people in business to continue to do well, is that a course or something through as a professor that you instruct or guide in that way? Is that how that goes?
Yeah, so this is how my course has evolved since I first started teaching it. I was just teaching standard influence techniques that I had learned through marketing and sales training and the books on influence that I read that was very transactional. Like, here's things that you can say or do to get somebody to buy that thing or click that button or whatever that is, where you have all the agency as the influencer and there's this passive reactive person and that you're going to get them to do stuff. But when I started teaching, my students, being MBA students and executives and leaders in nonprofit that I work with, they held me to a much higher standard than that.